All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about a feeling. You know, that very specific kind of loneliness, the feeling that you just don't quite fit in. And you have this nagging suspicion that it's because you see things a little too clearly. Well, this was the world of the philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer. And believe me, he had a lot to say about the heavy price of clear sight.
I mean, have you ever been in a conversation, maybe at work, maybe with a group of friends, and it just feels like you're watching a play? Like everyone else is following this script, a script you just can't bring yourself to believe in. It kind of leaves you feeling a bit hollow, right? A little disconnected from it all.
And I bet you've learned to be careful about pointing out that gap. Because the moment you do, the second you say what you actually see, the whole atmosphere shifts. People get tense, they look at you a little funny, and there's this quiet pressure to just, stop, to get back on script, to come back to where everyone is comfortable. So if any of that sounds familiar, you're not alone in feeling alone. This isn't just some weird personality quirk. It's a real phenomenon, something Schopenhauer studied with, frankly, uncomfortable precision. He basically put a name and a framework to this isolating experience of seeing more than you're supposed to. That discomfort you cause, it's a defense mechanism. It's not really about arguing facts with you. It's a kind of social pressure, a signal that you're veering off the shared story that keeps things running smoothly. And Schopenhauer's whole philosophy explains exactly what that story is and what's really going on underneath it. Okay, so let's get into the big ideas that explain this whole thing. Schopenhauer's central argument was that the world we experience day to day, it's not the real world. It's more like a carefully constructed story. And beneath that story lies something much, much more chaotic. He called this underlying reality the will. Now, this isn't willpower, like I will go to the gym. No. Think of it more like a raw, blind, striving force. It's this relentless energy that drives everything in the universe, from a plant growing towards the sun to our own deepest desires. But here's the really unsettling part. The will has no goal, no meaning, no purpose. It's just a constant, chaotic churn of wanting. So, according to Schopenhauer, most people never look directly at the will. And why would they? It's terrifying. Instead, we live our lives inside what he called the veil, or the representation. This is the story we all tell ourselves, the ones shaped by our culture, our fears, our rules, all to make that chaotic reality of the will feel manageable enough to live in. And this table right here just nails the central conflict, doesn't it? The person who sees clearly, the one Schopenhauer would call intelligent, is someone who keeps glimpsing the uncomfortable, chaotic reality of the will right through the comfortable, ordered story of the veil. And once you really see that gap, you can't unsee it. So here's the really crucial point. Society needs the veil. It functions because we all sort of agreed to believe in certain shared fictions. These illusions aren't necessarily malicious or anything, they're functional. They just reduce all the friction and make it possible for us to cooperate and get through the day. Now, just look at these examples. Effort always leads to reward. Our institutions are fundamentally just. I mean, how many of us have built huge parts of our lives around these ideas? They're the stories that keep us motivated, that make the world feel predictable and fair. But the moment someone points out that, hey, maybe, just maybe, these aren't always true, well, that's not just an argument, it's a threat to the whole social fabric. And this is what leads to that very specific kind of isolation we talked about. It's not the loneliness of people disliking you. It's the loneliness of not being able to bond over the comfortable story everyone else is telling. You can build entire communities on shared illusions. It's a lot harder to build one on seeing right through them. So this brings us to a really serious point. The person who sees clearly isn't just an outsider, they're often seen as a danger. And why is that? It's because their very presence, their perception, threatens the stability of that shared illusion everyone else is relying on. I mean, just think about it. First, by refusing to look away, you're reminding other people that a choice is being made to ignore reality. Second, you're questioning authority that really only works if it's not scrutinized too closely. And third, and this is a big one, a person who actually thinks for themselves is just way harder to predict and control than someone who's just following the script. And again, it's so important to get this. This isn't some big, coordinated conspiracy. It's just the natural, totally unavoidable friction that happens when a genuine, independent perception bumps up against a social system that is optimized for predictability and conformity. Okay, so if this is you, If this is your reality, what on earth are you supposed to do? How do you carry this burden of seeing clearly without letting it completely crush you or turn you into some bitter, isolated cynic? Well, Schopenhauer's philosophy, as bleak as it can be, actually points toward a path forward.
There are basically three key strategies we can pull from all this. It's all about learning how to manage your perception, your relationships, and your energy in a world that, let's be honest, wasn't really built for the way you see it.
First up, and this one is absolutely crucial, you have to separate the act of seeing from the act of saying. You don't have to call out every single faction you encounter. Your perception can be a private tool, a superpower that informs your own decisions, without needing to be a weapon you pull out in every conversation. Real wisdom is knowing when to speak up and when to just see and let it be.
The second strategy is all about connection, but it requires a pretty radical shift in your thinking. It means you have to let go of the need for everyone to get you, and instead focus all your energy on finding just one person who truly gets it.
And yeah, this slide says it all. You have to stop trying to collect 100 acquaintances who don't see the world your way and start optimizing ruthlessly for quality. That one person who sees what you see, they are worth more than 100 comfortable superficial connections. It means accepting that a smaller social world isn't a failure. It's a deliberate choice. A choice for depth over width.
And finally, your perception can't just be a lens for criticism. If all it ever does is spot the flaws in everything, it will absolutely crush you under its weight. It needs a direction. It needs to be put to work. Use it to create art, to build a company, to solve a tricky problem, to contribute something real to the world. When you use your perception, you transform it from a heavy burden into an incredible gift.
So let's wrap this all up. That feeling of discomfort you get when you're in a room where the fiction is just thick. That is not a sign that you are broken or that something is wrong with you. It is a sign that your perception is working, and it's working accurately. That loneliness isn't some personal failing, it's the price of admission for clarity. And that really is the biggest takeaway from all of this. You are not the problem. You just see things. And living closer to reality is always going to be more uncomfortable than living in the story. But you know what? It's also the only place from which anything real can actually be built. So the question isn't how to stop seeing. It's what you will choose to build with what you see.